All right, should we get our Joes?
Sure. We got a mini Joe. Can I have a mini Joe?
No, try a large one. Like if you have your full size, get it. We're not going to be swinging it much.
So you prefer Joe to bokkens or shotos?
We're going through all three.
Okay. You prefer Joe to Jason?
Joe to what?
Jason.
Huh. I don't... Huh.
So what's Joe got? Oh.
Okay. Everybody good?
Good.
So we're going to work a little bit on ukemi. And one of the important things about ukemi is being able to feel what's occurring in your body, which tells you what's occurring in the other person's body, etc. Hi, Brian.
Brian, go. Turn into a cat.
Hi, Brian. So, to start, balance it a little bit, but really try and feel every motion, because there's still, even when it's balancing, there are little motions that are occurring. And what you're trying to do is build up the sensitivity in your body to feel all of those little motions. And where you balance it on your body doesn't matter, but balance it somewhere. That way it can move a little bit.
Oops. Okay. There are challenges in this one now.
And I mean, part of balancing it is you're feeling the changes and you're adjusting.
Hey, get out of my soup. Guess he likes butternut squash. Oh! Glad the cat wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's some activity issues.
Yep. Alright, so now I'm assuming we're a little dialed in with what we're doing. So you can feel slight changes occurring. So now when you feel a change occurring, to balance it you would adjust the other direction, but now you go with it. To teach your body to go with whatever's occurring. So there it's leaning a little bit that way, so I go a little bit that way.
You continuing to go in that direction?
So you feel motion occurring, right?
Yeah.
Instead of correcting it so you stay balanced, go with whatever motion's occurring.
Okay.
Because that's much closer to what you would do with ukemi.
Right.
Unless you're trying to change the situation, but that's a later thing. First you need to understand the situation.
Uh-oh. It's right, it's Christmas.
That's what I think about Christmas right now.
Yep. I wouldn't blame you. Okay, that's interesting to do that. Very different, yeah.
So even if it falls forward, it falls forward. It might not fall side to side. Depends on how you place it on your arm and what happens.
How about I have holes in my wall?
I thought your whole house was made of wood. You can't put holes in your wall.
The basement isn't. Actually, behind the walls is cement, so.
So you're fine.
Whoa. No, I'm in the basement, so it is cement.
Yeah, so you're fine.
Behind the walls. Okay. That's a very different feeling because we tend to want to counter.
Yep.
Our body naturally wants to counter it.
The same way that when you take ukemi, you naturally want to fight.
Yeah.
But you need to fix that. Or at least control it.
Yeah.
Fix is probably the wrong word.
Cool. Yeah, it's a different mindset.
And you can, if you're placing it fairly perpendicular, you can place it at angles because it's going to fall slightly differently. You can place it on different parts of the arm, which changes what happens. That way. You can place it in parts of your arms, like the inside of the elbow, that's very stable. And then the motion is more subtle. You need to find it. But it is there. Because nothing's ever perfectly balanced, as far as I've found. Feels like it's going that way.
Because it's what I find is like there's a direction that it's trying to go, but I tend to try to push it in the wrong direction, in a different direction, because I'm still trying to balance it on the fall, which is what I need to not do.
Correct. Instead of balancing it on the fall, try and move with it on the fall so you move at the same speed.
Okay.
And if it falls, it falls. It's not the end of the world.
It's just it's a mental block.
Yep. Alright. So we've tried that for a few minutes. Go back to balancing. But this time close your eyes. Which tends to get you to A, overreact with your adjustments more, but also be able to feel what's happening more. And we're just balancing at this point. And just like when your eyes were open, try different spots, different angles. Check that the rest of your body isn't tense, trying to keep one part in balance.
That's exactly what I was doing. Oh, that is.
and start letting it move a little. Right now I'm not necessarily moving with it, I'm just letting it move so I can feel what that feels like. This is basically just part of dialing in. And start letting your body move with it. Still eyes closed. So I can't help you as to whether or not you're doing it.
What'd you say?
So I can't help you as to whether or not you're doing it, correct?
Oh, we're doing it still correctly?
Yeah, me too. You can't even see me. That's not correct, by the way.
It's amazing, I'm sure.
I'm doing it more correctly than you are.
Correct and correct.
The most,
Yeah, that's the Brian.
the most correct.
So, whoa. We're moving with it now, right?
Yep. And you may notice that your body has enough awareness to actually catch it as it goes down too. Like you're moving with it, so it's easy to just reach out and stop it before it hits the ground most of the time. Which may not have been as easy when you were watching it. And even the catch shouldn't abruptly stop it. It should move in the direction that the thing is falling, that the jaw is falling. The same direction your body's moving anyways. So it's not an abrupt stop. Alright. How are people doing?
Better than you? But that's more correct.
The mostest correct?
The most.
Alright, so I'm now going to move to something a little smaller, which will be my bokken, which I probably have up here somewhere. Bokken. It's the same set of exercises, but now the motion should be more subtle. The motion should be more subtle because it weighs less, isn't going out as far. So again, we start with just balancing it. You can try balancing it upright, you can try balancing it on its side.
What?
Both will work.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
Well, the nice thing about the bokken is that it is shorter, but the weight is not constant, right? So,
Yeah, it's lopsided. You might be able to do the, depending on how your bokken is shaped, you might be able to do the cutting edge too. It's going to be harder.
It wobbles on my arm too much.
Don't wobble.
During all of this, remember the rest of your body shouldn't be tense. It should be relaxed.
Reminder.
And there's still variations as you balance it, but it should be a little less noticeable than the Joe. The variations. So now let it move a little bit, but don't necessarily move your body with it. It's more to feel the motion on you. So you can start to understand when the weight starts to transition, what does that feel like?
Yeah, it's very definitive how it's on different parts as it moves.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole goal of this whole set of exercises is just to build up the sensitivity. Later, you decide what you want to do with the information you get. Right. And now, let your body move with it. Once you start getting information. And don't worry about what's the blade and what's not, because this is really just a tool to understand motion in this case. And whatever speed you've been letting it fall at, let it fall a little faster. So you move a little faster. To make it more instinctive of going with.
Oh, snap my shin. Very fast. Slam my shin.
That can happen. And you may find that it doesn't fall in the way you think it's going to fall when you put it on. Especially with the bokken, because the weight's not as even as the Joe.
Drop.
Hmm?
That would be easy to drop.
I know, we have one hand.
Emotion. He liked that. He was going to do it again.
Here again.
Okay. Over here.
Oh.
With motion. Whoops.
Yeah.
Play Jack. I don't want to drop this on you though.
Yeah, you might want the cats out of the room.
Huh?
You might want to take the cats out of the room.
I'm staying over here.
So, in order to move faster with it, you can drop it onto your arm. Because then you don't really know how it's going to move, right? So your time to understand it is less. But it's going to fall.
So you let it drop and then you follow the motion.
Yep.
Whoa. Jack, you're playing with danger, don't you?
So you don't really know which side it's going to fall on, right? You know it's going to fall, but which side changes.
I was wearing my Ah, balance. I was ready. Jack.
So I mean, it shouldn't ever completely balance because at the very least, it's going down,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Good point.
It's just how is it going down?
I'm not responding to it otherwise, right?
Correct. And you can change the direction you hold it as to how it falls, which changes it a little bit. You can change the angle. If you want more uncertainty, you can throw it in the air and then put your arm out.
Now you want me to poke holes in the wall.
But I mean, it shouldn't ever really impact you much. If you're doing this right, your body goes the instant it gets touched. So it doesn't hurt. You're not hitting yourself.
Yeah.
No, I'm finished.
I think my reactions are gonna be.
But Gary, if there's no pain, how will I know to move?
Because there's change in force.
You can put a pillow on it.
So, do the same thing where you either drop it or throw it, but with your eyes closed.
Drop it.
Back out of there. Go on.
So you don't have the visual cue that you need to go. Because ideally you don't want to have to use a visual cue to know something has changed.
The pain is enough.
Shouldn't be pain. I think we lost.
We're doing something different or the same thing?
Nope. We're waiting for you to come back.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, good. So now take something smaller. And you can either take a shoto or just a small stick. I said not a tanto, but a tanto might be good. But there's almost no motion in it. Like it's very, very small, the motion. It's the same idea though. It's just making it much more difficult to tell where things are.
Have to go get a tent.
If the tanto is too small, get your shoto. Like, it's a question of whether or not you can feel what's occurring in it.
Well, this was my shoulder. What I was working with
Oh,
before.
okay. So something smaller, okay.
Huh? Hi.
All right, I guess I don't have to roll up my sleeves. But it is hard to tell where it's falling, at least for me. Especially if you have a light top toe.
Yeah. Just balancing?
What?
You're just balancing?
Right now I'm just balancing. I'm trying to tell where there's a shift in the weight. And the lighter the top toe you have, the more difficult it'll be. So it's just a different level of sensitivity. Like with the Joe, even when it was balanced, you could feel changes pretty easily.
Yeah.
With this, once it's balanced, the changes are pretty minute. But they are there. And like before, if you can allow a little bit of motion, allow a little bit of motion.
Almost like a hand or an arm. Different.
Almost like what?
Like an arm or a hand. Like somebody,
If it's very light, yeah.
yeah, wrap around it. Sometimes.
Actually going to move to a slightly heavier one, because that one's probably possible but difficult.
I like this thing too.
Right there.
Ah! This is hard. This is crazy.
Yeah, so that one. Try it. So unlike with the previous ones, I kind of have to put it on a little unbalanced for it to move. Because just the friction alone it doesn't move a lot.
Right.
Surface tension. Surface friction? I don't know.
Tension. Oh, friction. Okay.
Popularity.
What?
Science fiction.
Friction.
Little. And this is why I wanted something a little larger than a tanto, because it's difficult.
Yeah, this is harder than a tanto. It looks like Ruth is talking to you, Gary. Your window is next to where she was talking to Calvin. That was funny.
I mean, that actually is probably a good way to practice it, where it's balanced lightly and somebody does something to it. But you can also try the dropping, right? Which, if you use your eyes, it becomes, you see it falling, so you start to go down. But you're trying not to do that so much.
It's all funny.
See there, I dropped before it touched me. Which is not good. It should actually make contact before I move.
I have no problem with that. My reactions are so slow. Definitely drop.
There, I move first.
This was the opinion for
My wife, always.
So try closing your eyes and doing the dropping. And try not to drop before it touches you, like I just did. Because even with my eyes closed, I know when it's dropping. Right. So maybe I have to throw it up in the air.
But one thing that you can feel more with the tanto, I find, is that when you drop it, if it ricochets off of you, it means that you actually bounced it up
That
as
is true.
opposed to coming with you. I think that's easier to feel than with the bigger ones.
Yeah. You just have to be careful, right? That you're not, it's falling. So I'm going with it before it does anything, right?
Right.
Like there. I moved before it touched. That's just about being honest with yourself.
Oh, really?
It's hard to be honest with yourself.
More.
Well, if it's hard to be honest with yourself, then throw it up in the air. because you're not going to know when it's going to hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this kind of thing, if you actually get good at it, you can use an actual knife and throw it in the air and not cut yourself, because you just let your body go whenever something touches it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today.